Some 15 seconds behind them. Jeff Gordon is in position to try and make it to the finish with the fuel he has on board. 15 seconds is a long time on a mile-and-a-half racetrack. We wait on Jeff.
Certainly bring up a lot of conversation if he should go on and win this race. Of all of those people that thought that he shouldn't even be here, he should be suspended for his actions last week.
And taking no chances, and with the freedom to do so, as Jimmie Johnson is behind the wall. Here's Keselowski coming in, Dave.
You could call it a parade lap of sorts on pit road. The crew will very meticulously and methodically go about changing the 4 tires and giving him fuel. When he was reminded that Jimmie was in the garage and he asked, "Are you sure?" They said, "Yes, the 48 is in the garage." He said, "Then let's race." He'll get 4 fresh tires. He can go about as hard as he wants to as long as he's careful.
Nothing to lose now. But if they're going to have a chance to race for the win, they're going to need a caution flag to get back around.
Now you can see up top that Clint Hoyer just still 1 point behind Johnson. If he can gain another spot on the track, he will tie Jimmie in points, but he probably need a couple of spots to take that
Yes, I'd say that comes in first and second place out there with Kyle Busch and Martin Truex having to pit. And I think Boyer can probably make it. He should be right there. But we've seen them get really good fuel mileage, so that might be the 2 spots he's looking for.
Denny Hamlin, that 11 car you see being passed by Brad Keselowski. Sounds like that car's down a cylinder and off the pace. Tough way to end what's been a tough chase for Hamlin, who had such high hopes of competing for the championship and maybe holding the big trophy tonight. Martin Truex Jr. was up there, right on Kyle Busch's back bumper for the race lead.
Well, he's been flirting with that wall all day.
I can't believe it took 250 laps for him to do that.
He flirted with it. She slapped him on the cheek.
Yeah. He's been right there on it. And what a great race Truex has run. Been right there just dogging Kyle Busch, passing him a couple of times for the lead.
Those cars to his inside, Menard 27, Montoya 42, not for position. And Truex has fallen a couple of seconds behind Kyle Busch. When will the 18 pit? Will there be another caution flag to shuffle the finish of this one up again? And as we work into the final stages of this final race of the season, the big story, Jimmie Johnson's attempts to overtake Brad Keselowski to win the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship, foiled twice. First a late pit stop where they left the lug nut off and he had to pit again. Then shortly after that, the rear end gear on his 48 car burned up. Johnson went to the garage about 20 laps ago and is there now getting his car repaired, hoping to get back out and finish this race. Brad Keselowski, well in command of the championship, made an extra pit stop to make sure they had enough fuel to the finish. He's running in 21st place, but that's going to be more than enough. All he has to do is run out the string. Check Dave.
Southeastern Michigan is Keselowski country. My dad was born there. I grew up not far from there. We heard about, read about, knew about, worked about cars. It didn't really matter where you were in Michigan or what time of year it was, you were always talking about cars. It's been a tough decade for the auto industry. Imagine their delight as you see Kyle Busch pitting on the left if one of their own becomes the NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, and now it's all but done. Brad Keselowski, born and raised a Michigander, and naturally a car guy.
So many layers to the story surrounding this young man becoming a champion.
Well, this is just proof of, I always heard the adage of hard work and dedication will pay off, and this man, man has a lot of that, and he's a great student of these race cars and the sport, and he just studies it. This is what his life has always been about, and you'd like to see good things happen like that when you put forth that effort, and this is just another example of that happening.
So you saw Kyle Busch make the pit stop. Jeff Gordon is the race leader. Jeff has a 2-second lead on Clint Bowyer. They are on the similar fuel schedule. So now the question is, do they have enough to make it to the checkered flag? And ironically, finish 1 and 2. And you see top of the screen at the moment as they run, Bowyer has overhauled Jimmie Johnson for second in the championship. That's worth a pretty good chunk of cash at the champion celebration in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks.
You see Gordon has got about a little over 2-second lead, so he can't really just start soft pedaling and try to save fuel. Yeah. He may end up having to race Clint Bowyer before this one's over.
Yeah, he may have to. Bowyer was in 2 laps before him in that last one, so I'm not sure if Bowyer's going to be able to run hard enough, or is he still trying to save enough just to get to the end. But wow, how strange things happen in this sport. 2 competitors that were in a big, literally brawl on the racetrack and off last weekend. And here they are trying to decide who's going to win this last race of the year.
Both coming away from it less than satisfied with the outcome of both the on-track and off-track activities. And now here they are, 1 and 2 in the final laps of this one. And should circumstances turn up, could be side by side for a late restart, or nose to tail racing for the checkered flag in the final laps. We'll see.
But if Bowyer could get to him, I'd put a lot of money on what would happen from there.
If he could catch him.
If he could get there.
Thinking we'd see a little bump and run?
At the very least.
What a frustrating season it's been for Jeff Gordon. Such high hopes of being one of the people racing for this championship. Coming into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Worked so hard across the summer months to rally to get into the championship by that slimmest of margins over Kyle Busch on the final qualifying night in Richmond, if you will. And then in the very first chase race, had a mechanical problem under the hood of his car that threw him hard into the turn 1 wall at Chicagoland and set them so far back they've never been able to recover.
Yeah, they fought after that, kept fighting and had some good finishes, and then just seemed like problem after problem kept on. But this team has continued to battle, and I think that's a sign of a great champion there and a really solid crew behind him.
And even if he comes up a spot short tonight and 1 spot short in the championship, what a 2012 for Kansas Clint Bowyer and Michael Waltrip Racing. Getting together for this season wasn't necessarily, it's fair to say, something that Bowyer saw himself doing. But went there, they sold him on the fact that they were a growing team and a developing team and going to be a very competitive team. Now he's got 3 wins this season, and he's going to finish second in the championship, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that the race team knew just what a driver they were getting in Clint Bowyer as well. We've all talked about how Bowyer didn't really know what kind of team he was going to with Michael Waltrip, but I'll tell you, this has been a great marriage between these two, the driver and the team.
Yeah, and I think it's a great example of his ability. Look at the different types of racetracks that he won on. He won on a road course. He won at Charlotte. He gets the job done on a lot of different type of racetracks. He's just very, very solid. And I tell you, another thing about him, he's a fierce competitor, but he just rallies people around him because he has a great personality, and that rubs off on them and shows them just how much he loves doing what he's doing and the opportunity that he's being given.
So Gordon and Bowyer racing for the win here. They're 14 seconds ahead of third place Aric Almirola. Do they have enough fuel to the finish? And how does that play out in the final 4 laps? Bowyer eating into Gordon's gap little by little each lap around.
Yeah, he's closing it down. If Gordon has to save any fuel at all and Bowyer doesn't have to, he might can get to that back bumper.
Brad Keselowski still in 17th position, a lap down after the insurance pit stop. Just working his way through these final laps on his way to a championship. Dale, a story that you can certainly relate to, a local short track racer, the son of a racer, started out knocking around on the same short tracks where his dad did, and trying to follow in the footsteps of an accomplished father in the sport. Never the easiest thing. Finding funding, finding opportunities. And yet, this young man has shown that for a local short track racer in this modern day and age of NASCAR, you can still find a way all the way to the top.
Yeah, some of those stories that he was talking about where he'd carry a little briefcase and had his books in there to read about chassis. I don't know if I was doing that, but I was certainly around the racetrack a lot with my dad. And you know, just because your father has been successful, there are no guarantees. You have to continue to work hard. And Brad Keselowski has certainly done that. And it's just been fun to watch him come through the Nationwide Series, become a champion there, and then quickly take this Roger Penske team to a championship.
Jeff Gordon has stabilized the lead over Clint Bowyer. Bowyer slipping back a little bit from where he was a couple of laps ago. Do they have enough fuel to make the final 3 miles here at Homestead and get to the checkered flag 1 and 2?
I'm sure as Bowyer came in here, though, he really wasn't thinking about it. He knew he was in a battle for the 3rd spot. All of a sudden, the doors open for him to finish 2nd in the points.
With all they've accomplished, almost unfathomable that Hendrick Motorsports has never won at this Homestead Miami Speedway. They are 1 lap away as the captain has showed up in his team's pit down from the top of the tower for the final lap. Jeff Gordon leading the race. Brad Keselowski in charge of the championship. After what has been, it's fair to say, one of the more tumultuous weeks of his storied NASCAR Sprint Cup career, checker flag and a win at Homestead for Jeff Gordon.
I'm proud of you guys. That was awesome.
And the checkered flag and a NASCAR Sprint Cup championship for Penske Racing and Michigan's Brad Keselowski.
We did it, boys. We did it. Great job. What an awesome season. Let me introduce you to your 2012 Cup Sprint Cup champion right here, guys.
Brad said he didn't know what it would feel like to be a champion. Well, he's going to know now. Paul Wolfe paired together with Brad a couple of years ago, winning the NASCAR Nationwide Championship. One of the bright minds in the sport, considered by many to be a dynamic duo, these two.
Yeah, I'm not sure this isn't just the start. We don't want to overlook this first one, but this is a team. They keep this together. A lot of good people involved there that can certainly make a difference. How about Dodge going out and they get the championship, leaving the sport right now?
Yeah, and you take that with the lame duck engine program over at Penske and how they were able to give them good engines, great power to win this championship.
There's the victory celebration. The other end of the story, Jimmie Johnson going out of the race with a mechanical failure about 3/4 of the way through. Jamie?
Well, at one point of this race, he was on top of the points over Brad Keselowski, then the issue on pit road, then ending up back here. Can you describe what these moments have been like for the last 20 minutes?
Yeah, pretty heartbreaking, you know. We were doing what we needed to, and certainly in position, putting a lot of pressure on the 2 car, but it's racing, stuff happens. Stuff out of my control, certainly, so I just got to reflect back on an amazing year, and just a ton of effort for everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, especially this 48 team. Great support from Lowe's, Chevrolet, my fan base, my wife and daughter. You know, definitely not the result we wanted, but you know, I'm very proud of how we raced all year long, the success we had on track, and the pace we had on track. Didn't get the result, but that's life. We'll come back next year and try again.
All right, 5-time champion ends his day in the garage. Alan?
Certainly a terrific fight for the championship between Jimmie Johnson and Brad Keselowski. And I think the burnout session's over because there's no more rear tires on that 2 car.
What a terrific job Brad has done just all year long. Just incredible to watch him every single one of these racetracks.
And for Roger Penske, he called it winning a NASCAR Sprint Cup championship, said it would be the pinnacle of achievement in motorsports. And Dave, for a guy who's accomplished so much, he's just achieved the pinnacle for him.
He has. We'll ask him about it now as guys from the blue and the yellow teams come over to congratulate him. So many people here tonight to see this possibly happen. And now that it has, Roger, what's the feeling?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a great season. I just can't take my hat off enough to all of the great guys on our team, you know, from Brad, obviously, Paul Wolf, and the whole team, Travis Geisler. When you think about Mike Nelson, Scott Curry, all those guys who built those great engines. Not one failure all year long in that Dodge engine. So I want to thank Dodge for what they've done for us and all the people. And this win goes to all these servicemen around the world that have put so much in their hearts for us to keep us safe and secure. So for me, it's just a double win.
Why is this so difficult? Why was it so hard to get here, Roger?
Well, I think the competition is just so super. And you think about the people that have won this series over the years. You know, Rick Hendrick's a great friend of mine. You can see Johnson, those guys are right there, right down to the last few laps. But it's just something that you have to work on, and these guys are the best.
And that makes it a little sweeter, right?
Absolutely.
Sweet night indeed for Penske Racing and that man, Roger Penske, Alan.
The cup to the captain, finally.
23 full-time seasons before he gets his first one.
Man who became a captain of industry partly on the success on the racetrack, building that name, that brand. Started out as a racer himself behind the wheel. Brad Keselowski trying to make his way through the swarm to begin the celebration. Our Goodyear superior performer. Yeah, he finished 15th today, but he was right up there doing everything he needed to throughout this race. And of course, what a tremendous drive to the championship when he looked the 5-time champ in the eye and never blinked.
Just not one time did he back down from any challenge that was thrown at him. And even when Jimmie Johnson went and won 2 races in a row, got max points, Brad still believed that this was the team to beat, and certainly proved that.
All right, Joe, thanks.
Well, the most overshadowed victory of the season is the win in the last race while the champion's recognized. But Jeff Gordon is going to end this season in victory lane. We go there presented by Tire Rack.
Underrated victory and overshadowed by the championship, but for this it's big for Jeff Gordon. You proved last week you're a fighter and you won't give up. Jeff, what does it mean to end the season in victory lane?
Oh my God, it means so much. I mean, this is for DuPont right here. 20 years, that is a long time to be together with a sponsor. For them to commemorate that with this awesome paint scheme with this silver car means so much. I knew we had a great race car going into the race. And, you know, I at times I didn't think we had a winning car, but you know what? We played the strategy perfectly, and we had a really good car. And, you know, it's just unbelievable to experience this, after last week, and then to come here and battle like this and end up in victory lane is just unreal. So I got to thank Drive Den Hunger, DuPont, Pepsi, Quaker State, Chevrolet, everybody that makes it. This team is just awesome. I love Alan Gustafson. This is a great way for us to end this season. I know it's about the championship, so turn it over to the champion.
Well, Jeff, hold on. There was a lot in the news this week, of course, regarding you. And then, of course, you and Clint Boyer end the race as his kids come into victory lane. You two battling at the end. Jeff, is this just redemption after what happened last week?
Can you believe that? I mean, there was one restart where I had Joey and maybe even Eric and Clint right there surrounding me. And, that thing is gonna work itself out some way through racing, and I felt terrible about how I went about it, and I still regret the way I went about it. And you know what? But I can't take it back. What we can do is look forward and race guys as hard and clean as we possibly can. And this is a great way to get some positive things going, because this year's been real up and down. So this is awesome to be able to have my family here in victory lane. Got to thank Sprint, all the fans. What an amazing turnout this has been for this final race and the championship battle. And I got to take my hat off to Jimmie Johnson and that team too. They did an excellent job battling for this championship. I know they didn't win it, But you know what? They were up against somebody really incredible, and Brad, they did an excellent job, Paul Wolf. And I got to say congratulations to Roger Penske on his first championship. That I know how much that means to Roger being in the sport as long as he has.
Let's go back upstairs to Alan.